In Phantom Blade Zero, you play as Soul, an elite assassin framed for the murder of a high-ranking official of a mysterious organization known as the Order. The resulting manhunt left you on the verge of death, but thanks to a mystic healer, you were wrenched free from the grasp of oblivion. But the only catch, this makeshift cure only lasts 66 days. With the time you have left, you'll need to uncover the truth behind this conspiracy and fight back against powerful foes and inhuman monstrosities. This is Phantom Blade Zero, and now, IGN has an exclusive interview with the developer S-Game to learn more about the upcoming hack-and-slash RPG.
Everyone wears a mask. You too.
This is a real face.
Presented by Phantom Blade Zero. What's up, everybody? I'm Alan Wheeler, and joining me today is Mike Peng, Senior Vice President of Publishing, and Soulframe, the founder of S-Game and the creative force behind Phantom Blade Zero. Soulframe, you studied architecture in Beijing and New Haven. How did this education inspire the development of S-Game and Phantom Blade Zero?
You know, architecture is not only about building houses. It almost taught me everything that I needed to build a complete game, from traditional drawings to animations, from 3D modelings to programming, and also engineering and even budgeting and project management. So when I began to develop my first indie game, I was this so-called one-man army to do almost everything by my own.
Now, game development is a mysterious and coveted profession. How did you get your start, and how did S-Game come to be?
I finished my first indie game before my graduation of college, and after that I moved to the US for my graduate school. And then I tried to translate the game into English and put it on several indie game websites. In that way, I had the first group of fans outside of China. And this is even beyond gaming, because it really helped me to overcome the loneliness and frustrations as an international student just arrived the country, because I didn't have many real friends in real life at that moment. But it was tough in the very beginning. We had to face the reality. We had to make several free-to-play mobile games to survive. But I don't think this means we have given up on our dreams of making PC and console games. Actually, this year I think it's a great opportunity for us to start the dream. The whole company, the whole team was so excited about the positive feedbacks that everyone gave us for the trailer we had on PlayStation Showcase. And we can't thank enough to everyone who loved us, and I think there's no better way for us to show our passion and appreciation to everyone, but just go forward and make the game as good as possible.
Now, earlier you mentioned loneliness and working by yourself, but you now work alongside a team of talented developers there at S-Game. Can you tell me what it's like to work alongside a group of developers in a shared space as opposed to by yourself?
Yeah, I think I'm really lucky to work with some of the most talented developers in China. And I think it's a process of inspiring each other. And we work in mostly old school way. I really love the old days or the golden age of PlayStation 1 or PlayStation 2, when the great games are made based on pure creativities and motivations of developers. And I think the passion of gaming is the key in S-Game, and we want to share this passion to everyone.
Now, for those that are unfamiliar, what is the Phantom Blade universe?
Yeah, the Phantom Blade universe is called Phantom World. It's basically a fantasy version of China. For the period of history, it's Ming Dynasty. It's more or less Ming Dynasty, namely 14th century to 16th century. Based on that, I blended in steampunk or cyberpunk and dark fantasy and horror movie and many other things. But apart from the obvious, I think the deeper meaning of Phantom World is about the Chinese wuxia model, which is once you are into this world, you have no way out. And it's blood in, blood out, and there's no exit other than death. But you will still have to fight for what you believe in and who you care about. But I think it makes a perfect background for Chinese wuxia story, since the xia character in wuxia equals to the man and woman in Spider-Man, Batman, or Wonder Woman. But it has its own spirit. It's slightly different from superheroes and different from knights of West and samurais of Japan. It's someone who fight from the darkest and make hard decisions.
Now, Phantom Blade Zero is billed as a rebirth of one of your first games, Rainblood. What's the difference between the two, and how does Phantom Blade Zero build on what came before?
Yeah, of course. Rainblood is 2D turn-based, while Phantom Blade Zero is 3D powered by Unreal Engine 5. But apart from the difference, I tend to emphasize the similarity and coherency between the two. Since Phantom Blade Zero is not coming from nowhere, it's a spiritual rebirth of the original work. So the most difficult part is always go back to the original point and grasp the essence of the original work. That's why I usually lock myself in my office to review the scripts and drawings I did 15 years ago. It's a very interesting progress. It's like have a conversation with a younger self. I always ask myself what indeed was the story I was trying to tell and what would be the ideal gameplay I would go for without the limitations on those days.
Are there any features added in Phantom Blade Zero that you would have liked to include in Rainblood?
First is the story itself. The complete walkthrough of Rainblood is like 2 hours, which is like a fragment of a longer story, and it's obviously too short. And in Phantom Blade Zero, I wish to present the full story. Secondly, I think it'll be the combat, because for the limitations of the tools and my capacities, I had to go with turn-based in I was developing Rainblood. Obviously, we have changed it to real-time and fast-paced combo action RPG. And in Phantom Blade Zero, we would like to develop that style into something we call Kung Fu Punk. It's a complete way to present the style I wish I can do in Rainblood.
Now tell me more about Kung Fu Punk and its origins in wuxia.
Okay, let's say the real Chinese culture and the Chinese history is the basement. It's level 1. Let's call it level 1. And based on level 1, there are a bunch of novelists and filmmakers back in 20th century built a whole new paradigm of fantasy that we call wuxia today. Wuxia it's not a reality, it's a fantasy, but it's a fantasy different from swords and dragons, different from magic or science fiction. It has its own unique style and aesthetics, like the swords masters flying upon the bamboo forest in Crouching Tiger and Hidden Dragon. And what we're trying to do is to build a level 3 based on level 2. We keep the core idea of wuxia, but we blended in the elements inspired us, and we mixing together and expand the border of wuxia. Like Bruce Lee has introduced the term Kung Fu to the rest of the world, we would love to introduce the idea of Kung Fu Punk to our audiences.
The trailer shown at the PlayStation Showcase features combat that seamlessly pivots to stealth when Soul is attacked by the flail-wielding enemy. Then Soul launches into the air to take his foe head-on. Is that how all combat encounters play out? What sort of playstyles does Phantom Blade Zero encourage?
Okay, we don't encourage players to go for certain playstyle because we have multiple styles that player can choose from. There are assassinations and combos and making use of the environment and such. But the scenario you're mentioning about is a core idea or core system of our combat system, which also reflects the main principle of Chinese Kung Fu or martial arts, which is making use of the environment or any other available resources to fight. I'm not sure if you heard a well-known joke. Don't fight Jackie Chan in the supermarket because you are not going to win, because he has so many things to make use of.
Now you talked a little bit about weapons. What other weapons can players use in Phantom Blade Zero?
In our game, player will equip two weapons. One is the main weapon and the other is a secondary weapon that we call Shachi weapon. The main weapon is different kinds of blades since you are a blade master. The movements are different according to different length and different weight of the blades, and there are also dual blades. So yeah, this is the traditional part. And we have more than 20 different types of secondary weapon or Shachi weapon. With this Shachi weapon, you can experience the most creative design, from cannons to lancer, from axe to big hammer to break the shield. So a combination of a main weapon and Shachi weapon means a combination of the tradition and the imagination also.
To add on to that, what does gameplay look like between combat encounters in Phantom Blade Zero? How can players upgrade and customize Soul over the course of the game?
Okay, between encounters, there are tons of explorations and character developments to do. We have these sophisticated map designs with dungeons and side quests and NPCs, and powerful weapons, powerful items, and also powerful enemies are hidden everywhere in different corners of the game. And for the character development, we have gears to collect and upgrade. We have skills to also collect and learn and master. And all of these are from the chests and bosses and different corners of the game you have to explore.
Now your company, S-Game, is also hard at work on a separate game called Phantom Blade Executioners. How does it tie into Phantom Blade Zero? And do people need to play Phantom Blade Executioners before Phantom Blade Zero?
Okay. Do you have to read The Hobbits before reading The Lord of the Rings? I don't think so, right? But I think Phantom Blade Executioner is under development and maintenance of another independent team inside S-Game. But I don't want to mix things up here. It's a great game. If you are into this kind of game, it's totally worth it to try because it's top-notch in the standard of a mobile game. But I totally understand not everyone is a big fan of the free-to-play games. So if you are not a big fan of this kind of game, you don't have to play it only for your interest on Phantom Blade Zero. You just wait for Phantom Blade Zero, right?
Phantom Blade Zero is the next big step for S-Game, allowing you and your team to bridge the PC and console market with a game that's a complete package. No microtransactions and no compromises. Was it difficult to design around, or is this a new challenge that your team was ready to embrace?
I witnessed the hardship the development team has went through on this transaction. I think between mobile and PC and console, we're talking about two very different platforms with very different user base, user behaviors, and engagements. Mobile is more casual, it's more on the run, right? You can play 5 minutes and put it down. But with PC and console, we fully understand the demands and the challenges, both from the players and the platforms. With the PC and console, we really want to engage our users and have them embark on this wonderful journey with us for hours without interruption. So this is, like I said, this is a wonderful challenge, and we're ready for it. And we can't wait to show you guys what we got.
Now we've seen many Chinese and Korean studios announcing major console titles. What inspired you to make the jump to console development?
This is a good question. This is a really good question. I think this is just the beginning of a new trend. We are very glad to see a lot of new studios step into making high quality games. I mean, we've already seen a lot of Chinese studios that's been making great work and making great profits and success in overseas mobile market. I think it's just about time when more and more studios are ready to put more patience and budgets and time and efforts into making better games.
Speaking of showing us what you got, there will be a playable demo available next year. Will it be open to everyone? How can players get involved?
Oh, absolutely. There will be a playable demo next year, but it's for invitation only this time. So if any of you are interested, feel free to reach out to us. Right, guys?
Yeah, from an aspect of development, we really don't want to hide the gameplay until last minute. We want the players to play it actually as soon as possible, because this is really important to help us to improve the game. So yeah, our 30 minutes or so demo will be prepared next year.
How is the development process progressing?
We cannot tell our players anything that we're not sure of. But we do keep dropping a bit of info and updates on our social network, whether if it's Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, or Discord. So follow us, for the latest update. Speak of updates. You want to give our players some updates, man?
Well, I think that's the only thing Mike would allow me to say. I think we're going well and the development is going smoothly. And we really wish you to get your hands on the game as soon as possible. But it's not the time yet for us to announce the release window.
Now, before we wrap up, is there anything you'd like to tell the fans who are looking forward to playing Phantom Blade Zero?
I just want to say that we truly appreciate all the love and supports we've received from our players around the world in the past 3 months. Thank you, guys. Nice.
Yeah, as I said before, I'm an old school guy and I really love the games from PlayStation 1 and PlayStation 2. Unfortunately, speaking as a player, I have to say I have less and less options nowadays. And I wish our games can be something unique and different. And we'll just work harder and go forward and deliver something really special to you guys. Thank you.
Mike, Soulframe, thank you so much for joining us. I can't wait to get my hands on Phantom Blade Zero.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
What will you do with the time you have left? For all things Phantom Blade Zero, keep it locked to IGN.